All right. What's up, my friends? Let's just jump right into this. I want to show you some things on Nansen that I haven't showed you before. You're looking at one of them right now, and we're going to show this Mindshare view. And I'll also go over what I see in the markets currently. And we're definitely going to find some tokens that people are accumulating even when the market's down. That's very important. So let's do that. Just very quickly, I'm just going to show you this, and then we're going to jump into Bitcoin. So the Mindshare, we are going to come back to this. The Mindshare, you can do it two different ways. So you got your free users on Nansen, you got your Pioneer users, which is this is the like the base entry level, for a paid subscription with Nansen. And then professional users is like the more expensive one. So you can sort it by rank change right here, like I have, or you can sort it by score. So the score means that, the pump's probably already happened on this token, or it's dipped a lot and people are wanting to buy it. And I'll show you that here with Block in a minute. I'm going to go ahead and open up Block there on another tab. But I kind of like the rank change thing because currently we're looking at it on a 30-day chart or a 30-day view. If you're wanting to find something that maybe hasn't moved yet, then maybe you want to jump down to a 24-hour. But this will give you a very good idea of, on the longer term scale, what people are accumulating. So you got higher caps like ARB and Link, Bio, AAVE. All of these tokens we've talked about recently. I've posted them on my Twitter, which if I bring up my Twitter here, I did a lot of posts recently on things like that. I've got some, actually one post I did was talking about what I expect out of Bitcoin as well. But here's a, let's see, where's that post? Anyway, if you go down a little bit, it's at Byte for Sale. So, just like my name is on YouTube. If you look at that, you'll see a lot of different posts that I made about these tokens, like Link especially was on there. Bio we found early. So I just want you to know before I get into this that the way I'm going to show you today how to, what my process is exactly how I find tokens to post for you or how I find tokens to enter trades on. So before we get into this, let's look at Bitcoin. I want to give you some ideas, and I want to, quell any fear that you have about the market because I see it still going up. So number one, we talked about it last week, how, if you just take a trend line, what's wrong with that? There's still a clear uptrend there, just like we had back here. There was a clear uptrend before this happened, and then you had a huge move up. So we're still expecting something like that. We don't know the final target, of course, but say we do come back down to that line and we start pushing up again. My target's 197K, but it really depends on, everything's about liquidity, right? So it depends on how much liquidity the powers that be, the people in control, continue to push into the market. So it could definitely go over 200K, but we'll just have to see how it plays out. So this thing has been grinding for a while. And, if we looked at total 2, and which I might look at that here in a second, but, total 2 looks like it's ready for a breakout as well. But there are a couple of things that I want to show you to where you can learn for yourself how to do this. And then I'll show you an indicator that will do it all for you. So here we are on the 2-day chart. Here was the bottom of the market in 2022, November. And what you'll notice here, let me zoom in for you. What you'll notice is as price was coming up here, and you started getting higher highs, the 2-day RSI was losing momentum. So you knew that it was going to roll over at some point. But what you'll notice is as this thing did roll over, what you want to look for is on the RSI, you need to see this 14-day EMA. I'll show you my settings here just so you have it. So there's 14-day EMA. That's what you want to use. So this blue line, it'll probably be like yellow for you. I just changed the color on it. But as the RSI gets above that blue line there, then that means it's time to take a long. That means you can go long right there. And as long as it pretty much holds, you wouldn't get back out till somewhere. Well, really, you probably wouldn't get out till it crossed below the 70 RSI, even though it crossed back below these lines. So it just depends on how you want to play it. A cross up and a cross down could be a buy and a sell for you, or you could wait for a lower high right here, creating a divergence. So what is a divergence? Well, it's where price is going up. This is just one example of a divergence, but you got price going up and you've got momentum coming down. So anytime you create a lower high, you have to be considering that price could come down at least temporarily. But in this case, what happened was it came back down to the 50 RSI, it bounced off of it, and it had one more move. So technically, this wasn't a macro bearish divergence. It kept creating higher highs here on the RSI. So your first lower high in this case, besides this one, was down here. But you can see how this 14-day EMA creates resistance. You know, RSI keeps hitting it, and then it finally breaks above it. This was a fake out here, but you could have gotten right back out, and you could have gotten right back in down here. So it's hard to do this in real time, but I just want to show you what things looked like in the past so I can show you what it looks like right now. And then I'm going to show you one other thing that you can use. So currently what we're looking at, we have a lower high, and that, you know, price was coming up. So here to here, price created a higher high, but here to here, momentum created a lower high. And currently what you have is the RSI is hitting its head against this 14-day EMA, plus it's under the 50 RSI. So currently we are bearish, but I do believe this is going to find support soon. And I'll show you why here in a second. But before I get into that, let me show you one more thing. So here's a free tool you can use. This is called the Phoenix. So if you go in here, or you can type in the ARD. But if you type in the Phoenix, it actually says the ARD right there. It's this one right here about Phoenix binary. So click that one. These are the settings that I have. I'm not going to go too much into it, but these are the settings I'm going to show you right here. So just look at these, and then look at this one down here. Well, actually, this one's hidden, so never mind. So it's really just these settings. So pause that and check that out if you want to see that. By the way, if you want to move forward, if this doesn't interest you, I'm going to talk about Nansen here in a second once we get through this. So number one, the most important thing here is the 200-day EMA. It continues to bounce off of this line. See it bouncing and bouncing. So if it was to come back down to here today, and that's not going to happen, it's not going to just drop in one day usually. 94K is where it would bounce. But what you'll probably see is this thing will keep, you know, working its way up. And somewhere around 96, 98, 100K, we'd find a bounce if it kept coming down. And I suspect that'll happen sometime in, you know, sometime early to September. So it's kind of a timing thing. You know, I do see this thing bouncing pretty soon. But the level that I was looking at, I believe, was right in here. And the reason for this is you've got one wick that came down and hit pretty much there, but you have a lot of resistance areas here from previous that it got above. So usually places that were resistance at one point that you get above, usually they're support when they come back down. So I would suspect this thing's going to keep coming up, and we'll get you know, a bounce around 98K or 100K or something like that. But the other thing you can look at here, you know, this is on a macro scale, so you're looking for bounces off of this red line. The other two lines are the 18 and the 50. And what you can do on these, you don't even need the RSI down here if you don't want to use that. So you can see right here we had a cross, you know, the faster one, the 18 EMA crossed above the 50. That's a buy signal. Here's a cross right here. That's a buy signal. As far as sell signals go, you would just sell right there when the, well, it's a blue line for me, but that's the 18 EMA crossing below the 50. I have it set on dynamic on the 50 just so you can see how that works. So anytime, if you have these set to dynamic instead of solid, so here's what solid looks like. It's just white for me. But if I switch it to dynamic, now it's going to show you when it's green, that's bullish. But when it's yellow, that's giving you a warning, you know, that things could be turning down. And then when it turns red, it's saying, okay, you know, things are bearish currently. And if we go back up here, we're not quite there yet. So we could have a bounce here. I mean, we don't know. If this thing gets back above the 18 here, then yeah, I mean, the downtrend's done for this small portion of time. But if this thing rejects there, then you're probably going to see this green line turn to yellow, and then eventually it might turn to red temporarily before another pump. But as far as what I see, you know, I'm expecting something like this. I'm expecting a move down to here. Whoops, it didn't work. There we go. So, you know, maybe it comes up a little bit, comes back down. Yeah, maybe even fakes out one more time and then goes up, something like that. I really expect something like this to happen. So that's right around that 100K-ish range. And we probably get some kind of higher low out of this like that. But the timing on this, you know, timing's hard to tell. I would say that if we're going to get another dip here, It's going to happen pretty soon because we've got full moon coming up, and usually full moon is bullish. So something like this, and then you know, a really strong push up would happen around late September, early October, something like that. So that's kind of how I see it happening, how I see it playing out. Now, if you don't want to have to do any of this and you just want some kind of indicator that'll tell you when to buy and sell, then what you would want to use is Engineering Robo. And I do have that in the description below on this video. Of course, this is the 2-day view. If you go down to the daily, it's going to give you much better view, much quicker results. So if we go all the way down here to the bottom, here was the very bottom, and look how quick it gave you a buy signal. And it gave you a sell signal there. You could have bought back immediately. Sell signal, buy signal. I mean, look how clean all of this is. Even right here, it told you to sell, but it told you to buy immediately again. So what this does is it does a very good job of keeping you out of long downtrends. And yeah, there were a couple of fake outs here, but it doesn't really matter because what you're doing is you're catching early. Every single big pump, you're catching it very early. And currently we do have a sell signal. You would just be waiting on a buy signal here is all right. This does look like a kind of like a descending triangle. I mean, you could just put a trend line here, which really you'd probably put it more like this. So technically we could be breaking out here, but I think it's probably more of a fake out up, and we'll have one more move back down, small move. But you know, this could be like a descending triangle. Is that the word I wanted to use? Or a falling wedge is really what I want to call it. You could even move it up to here or something like that, and then take these lower wicks right there. So something like that. And then around, you know, 8 to 10 days from now, we may start to see this thing turn back up. Like I said, I think this could be a fake out, but you don't have to worry about that with an indicator like this. This is a 7-day free trial, by the way. If you haven't tried it yet, just look in the description below for Engineering Robo. That's the name of it. So you would just be waiting on a buy signal, and you know, there's no worries for you. Like this back here, it gave you a perfect buy signal, gave you a really good sell signal near the top. And it's not faking you out. It doesn't repaint any of these you know, signals for you. All right, so let's jump ahead to Nansen now, and let's see what we can see. I think that's all. Oh yeah, I do want to show you total 2 here real quick. Hang on. Which Bitcoin dominance does matter as well. You know, I kind of figured we'd have some kind of bounce here near the 50 RSI on the monthly, and we are getting something like that, and that's why you know, alts are kind of, you know, either some are going down, some are going, you know, they're just kind of going flat, and there's consolidation happening. Anytime this happens, you're seeing money change hands from, you know, the people that aren't worried about this market versus, you know, the people that just want to accumulate versus the people that are emotional, that get worried about every little dip. What did I want to show you here? Oh yeah, total 2. That's what I was going to show you. Yeah, so total 2, this excludes Bitcoin, and I've actually showed this before, but you know, we always get higher lows after a breakout on the altcoin metric here that shows whether we're in an altcoin season or not. And you know, each time this happens, so this created a pump, this one created a pump, and now we're hoping this one does the same. And this is moving up, so that's good for us. Here's an inverted head and shoulder. It's a huge one. So to me, that would tell me that it's coming, you know, all the way up here into alt season, hopefully by October at the least. But here's our last 2 pumps right here, and they all happened right around, you know, the lowest part of the index, which this one did as well. And this is the weekly chart we're looking at. So you can see it's trying to break again here, but it's just retesting this. This is another inverted head and shoulders right here. So we're expecting this to keep going up. You know, that's the hope anyway. We'll see how it works out. All right, so I know you're here for Nansen. Let's talk about Nansen. I'm going to keep showing you how to use this, showing you all the tricks that I use, the things that are going to make you money. So if we were to just look at a couple of these tokens and see what they're doing, you know, being that they have a high rank here on the Mindshare. So it's saying rank change shows if the token's popularity has risen or fallen compared to the previous day. And so the best one versus the prior day on the 30-day look is PYTH, which I know this one already had a move, but we'll look at it. We'll look at ARB and we'll look at AERO. We know AERO had a good move. So this is on a higher time frame. Let's look and see what it's looking like on a little bit lower on a 7-day. Yeah, PYTH is still there. You got Crow. I know it made a pretty good move lately. GALA is starting to show up, which is interesting because I know it hasn't made a move yet. I'm going to look at Bio because that was one we found early. We'll look at AAVE. That's a popular one. DOLO, that was one that showed up recently. And Block is another one. Sol's starting to show up as well. I know some of you be interested in that. Okay, so now let's look at the 24-hour. And I know I'm going quick, but what I'm doing is I'm opening these up in different tabs and we're going to look more closely. I'm just trying to see if there's anything here that's interesting. Fuel, maybe? Might look at fuel. What else? What else? We got Block on there. Okay. Flock, that might be interesting to look at. What else? SPX might be interesting to look at. Oh, Ion. I haven't looked at that one in a long time, but the rank change on that's not very good. So now let's look at score. We're just going to sort them all by score. WLFI has been, yeah, look at that. It's across the board, which tells me it's probably made a move. If it hasn't, then that would definitely be one to consider getting into. None of this is financial advice, by the way. I'm just showing you what I see. Let's see, ENA, Flock. Domo is a brand new token. I'm not going to look at that. Kita, I know y'all probably be interested in that. We found that one early before it did a 10x, which was great. Uni would be a good one to look at. And Ondo. Okay, so we'll wrap it up there. All right, let's just start looking at these real quick. So what we want to see is we want to find tokens that haven't moved, right? So we've got PYTH, huge volume move. Now it's retesting this. We're creating a higher high from this one and this one. Now we want to see it create a higher low, and that would be perfect. If you can see it create a liar ho, if you can see it create a higher low in this case, then you would want to probably enter. Again, not financial advice in this case, but you know, if I saw something like that myself personally, I'd probably consider an entry. But what you'd want to look at, of course, is anybody accumulating right now? And we are seeing the top 100 over the last 30 days are, but let's look over the last 7 days what they're doing. Yeah, they are accumulating since the 30th of August. Even though price is coming down, that's the gray line. Exchange tokens are coming out. So here you've got, you know, the balance of tokens is going up. That means the supply owned of this token is going up as well. To some wallet, I mean, we can see which wallet it is, but we don't really care which wallet as long as it's a smart wallet. And we can bring up smart wallets here. You know, we'd like to see smart wallets or whales accumulating. There's really no smart money accumulating right now. I don't believe. Let me just double check here. Yeah, it's pretty flat. Let's look at public figures. I think that one's flat as well. But I think whales are accumulating some here, it looks like. Yeah, public figures are flat, although there are, well, no, there's no holders right now of public figures. But you can see down here, once this comes up for whales, it looks like there might be a tiny uptick here. There's no clear, you know, they might start accumulating here, just like they did back here. Actually, they were accumulating the top. I don't know why. Usually they do better than that. But here you got a high balance wallet that is accumulating currently. So you can check and see if they're profitable. And look at that. I mean, they're just barely profitable, but their net worth is almost 3 million. So, you know, it's a pretty good, they do a lot of trades, by the way. It looks like they do 22,000 trades over the last 7 days. But this is the type of wallet that, you know, it's a high net worth wallet that's going to give you that high conviction. You know, they're a Griffin whale. What else did it say? Yeah, they're a Griffin whale, meaning they made a lot of money off of Griffin and they hold a lot of those tokens. So, you know, this could be a wallet that you want to trust. You just need to look into the wallet more and see. But, you know, if it ends up being a wallet that you trust, then, you know, maybe this would be an early entry for you for PYTH. But yeah, I mean, that's what you want to see on this is where, you know, it has that pump. It's starting to show some life finally off the bottom, just like it did right here. Huge pump. And we were in early on this, by the way, in our Discord, which I know some of you are wanting to get in the Discord. I'm going to try to get it open soon. But for right now, we're not inviting any new people just yet. We got about 100 members in there currently. We try to keep it small. So, you know, hopefully something like this, you know, just curls up out of here or does some kind of triangle and then breaks out. But this looks pretty good right now. You know, it could come down a little bit more, but this might be one you want to look at. Now, I've got to go a little bit quicker here because, you know, we don't have a whole lot of time. I do like the look of this for Arbitrum, by the way. You've got a, just from a chart perspective, you've got a downtrend line that is broken out now. It's broken, even if it's just sideways, it's broken out of that line. It's no longer a fake out because it's creating higher lows. Let's see what we've got. You got a couple high conviction wallets that have bought a lot over the last 24 hours. 55K, you got somebody that's top 100 on the ARB leaderboard. So your top 100 wallets are buying a lot right now. It looks like Fresh Wallets 2 million. What else can we see here? I mean, this looks good to me so far. And ARB is one of those higher market cap, it's 2.6 billion. So you can imagine ETH's already made its move. Here is ARB, way down here near its support lows. So you would imagine that this one could make a pretty good move out of here, once things start moving again. So over the last 7 days, you've got a clear accumulation here by public figures. Top 100 wallets, we talked about how it looked like they were accumulating. Yeah, here's kind of accumulation across the board. Everything's green. It's not huge accumulation, but they are accumulating. All right, AERO. AERO made a huge move. Volume has spiked multiple times, higher highs, higher lows. Looks like it wants to do, some kind of retest down here before it moves up higher. But you definitely have fresh wallets that are interested in this. They're trying to buy it, hoping that the bottom is in. $45 million worth. You got a trading bot here that has bought over 250K worth, and they still hold about 73%. And if we go over to holders, remember the reason why we're looking at these is because they were showing high mind share values, meaning that a lot of people on socials, a lot of people on chain are talking about these tokens or buying them. So here we've got top 100 and Smart Money are accumulating a little bit. Smart Money kind of has been mirroring what the price has been doing there. What does it look like on the 7-day though? Yeah, I mean, it looks like there's been some sell-off lately. So you'd want to see a spike here. Looks like whales have been buying. Here's whales right here. Yeah, this is a trading bot activity. There must be a big whale that's using a trading bot to buy and sell this. But, if you want to call this resistance, then a whale is actually buying a lot. The supply has gone up, or the amount of supply that they're purchasing has gone up. So, they're trying to buy these lows more and more, as are the top 100 wallets here. This is kind of just grinded up even as price went down. So I could see this maybe being a place to buy. But I think it could come down a little bit lower, just so you know. Maybe over the next 5 days, see what price action looks like. But for now, there's not a whole lot of accumulation going on. All right, here's Crow. Huge volume spike. Anytime you see a token go, this is about a 200 to 300% move. Anytime you see that in 1 day, you usually want to wait for, some kind of retest or, let it come down a little bit first, and you'll get a better entry. Now, if this was happening during a blow off top at the very end of the market, then, these can do 5x in a day sometimes. So it's not always going to be the case where it comes back down, immediately. I mean, this is where you want to be buying down here, where it's creating higher lows and it's creating higher highs. That gives you an indication that there's going to be a bigger pump in the future. So you just have to be patient with it, I think this one could come down to, something like 20 cents or something. Yeah, right in there. It could happen. And then if you want to see what, what Smart Money and them are doing over the last 7 days, yeah, clear accumulation. Actually, everybody's accumulating, and whales are accumulating a huge amount here. So this is what you want to see. If you're looking for a token that you want to get into, is you want to see that you're being backed by some large wallets. They're buying as well. Yeah, here was a huge buy. I don't know why this whale bought at the very top. I guess they really believe in this one, that it can do much more. But this is typically not the way you want to play it. You'd rather play it where you buy it early before the pump, and then if you're treating it like a trading bag, then you take some profits, let the rest ride. Or if you are more of a long-term holder, mid to long-term holder, then you just keep holding until the top of the market. Yeah, GALA, this is one that really interests me because there's a lot of mind share on this one right at a support level. There's not a whole lot of risk down here, assuming the market keeps going. So, this is a good place to be accumulating. The market cap on this one was many billions last cycle, I believe. So now it's back here down to, you know, 730 million. Fresh wallets have bought a little bit under 100K. 271K have come off exchanges. That's almost 2 times the recent, you know, volume amount. If we look at, of course, that's just the 24-hour view, but if we looked at the 7-day view, there's a little bit of an uptick there, nothing else necessarily, but you know, what you want to find, if we're going back here to the Mindshare, you want to find tokens way down here that, you know, are just now starting to get popular. So I think in this case, what we were looking at when we found GALA, I think we must have been looking at this. Yeah, there it is right there. So free users are really interested in GALA right now, although it's not huge by any means. I mean, the score is at 26, the rank change is, you know, number 2 on the list or something, or tied with the other number 2s. So, you know, this is what you want to look for early tokens that haven't moved yet. So, you know, if you're looking at a gaming token, maybe GALA. If you want one that's a higher market cap, maybe GALA is something you want to look into that hasn't made a move just yet. Okay, so let me try to go a little bit quicker here. Higher lows, higher highs here on bio. We were in before this pump, and now it's just doing this correction, which they all do it. You know, like I said, if it does like a, you know, 100%, 200% move off of the lows, then expect some kind of retracement, retest before it makes another move. But this looks really good. You know, if bio is one that you like, if you feel like you missed out on it and you really wanted it, then now you're seeing top 100 PENDLE leaderboard wallet and a top 100 Mantra DAO wallet purchasing this one in large amounts. You know, this one got it for 190K, this one got it for 23. Fresh wallets have bought about 230K. Yeah, not a huge amount of accumulation just yet, but you know, the charts are looking pretty good. Actually, whales are accumulating quite a bit over the last 7 days. Let's see what else. You can just look at these little cards up here at the top without even clicking on them and say, okay, you know, I got 84% increase in whale activity. You know, maybe that's the one I want to click at and look. Okay, there we go. Even while price is coming down, you know, the whales as a whole, you know, these 3 wallets that are in it, they owned less than 0.01%, and now they own 0.02%. So even though it doesn't look like it, that's like a 200% in increase, or 100%, I guess. It's near 100% anyway. So they own double the amount that they owned back here on, you know, the 28th of August. So it's clear accumulation. It's a lot of money, though it may not seem like it. You know, just 0.1%, 0.01% more. But it ends up being, it's about $36,000 of value in the token. So GALA may be one you're interested in. AAVE, you know, AAVE to me looks like it might be better to wait a little while on an entry, but it's clear. You know, here's what I was talking about. You're building higher lows, and then all of a sudden, bam, out of nowhere. And then it comes all the way back down to retest it. And then it makes another move. So this one might be doing some kind of, you know, triangle, something like this. Might be perfect. Don't worry about the timing here. I'm not really saying it's going to take that long for it to play out, but I would suspect, you know, but this being this is a higher cap token, maybe it just does something like that and then takes off out of there. But I do believe there's more upside to this one. For me personally, I don't think I would be buying it, especially if this trend line right here was to break. If it comes below that trend line, then I definitely wouldn't be interested until it found a support level. And to find support levels on something like this, you could go back to those things I showed at the very beginning of the video. You know, use that free indicator or use engineering robo. What was the other thing I showed you? Or just use trend lines like this, you know, that works too. The RSI, that's what I was thinking of before. Yeah, so AAVE, as far as accumulation, I doubt you're going to see much. You know, there's not a whole lot going on right here. In fact, there's probably more people selling than buying currently. Although there is a little bit of a spike here on top 100. Yeah, they're still accumulating. What do we got here? This is Dolomite. Yeah, I kind of hesitated to bring this one up, but I just wanted to show you what it looks like when one really pumps out of nowhere, you know, off a bottom like this. And I don't know why this thing signed me off. Let's see if it's, no, it didn't fix itself. But anyway, This is what it looks like when you got a free account, by the way. You can see some things, but if you wanted to see smart money, you'd have to have a paid subscription to see that, or whales over here. But at least you can see top 100 addresses here and see who bought out of those top 100 addresses. So let me just try to refresh this. Maybe it'll fix itself. Sometimes this happens where it accidentally logs me out. Or yeah, there we go. Now it's working. So we got public figures are accumulating here. Whales are accumulating over, well, sorry, let me show you 7-day. Yeah, we still got smart money and whales accumulating. So that's kind of surprising to me just based on what the chart looked like. I don't really like the chart. I'd rather see it come down a little bit more first. But maybe they're just taking small nibbles right now and waiting for the big move down, and then they'll buy more. Block had a huge move down after a really nice move up, and then just kind of slowly did lower highs and finally went down. So this was probably surprising to a lot of block holders, but you got to imagine, always be thinking about this. This was it was roughly a 10x move. So anytime you have a 10x, it's usually going to need some kind of slowdown for a little bit before the next move. So you would probably expect to see a lot of people accumulating here, or accumulating soon after that big dip. And it was showing up on Mindshare, right? We were looking at the Mindshare chart. So if it's showing up on Mindshare, it means people are saying, oh, hey, this thing made a big dip. Maybe I should buy some more. So over the last 7 days, actually we could look at 24 hours on this. Yeah, top 100 are accumulating. If you got the yellow line going up, even while price is coming down, price is the gray line, then that's telling you that, somebody's accumulating anyway. Not really seeing much out of public figures or whales here. So, yeah, I mean, if you see the exchange, if you see an increase there, that means that people are selling to exchanges. So if exchange is going up, that's actually the opposite of what you want to see. You want to see it coming down like this, because that means people are buying. It means tokens are coming off the exchange, or if it's going up, tokens are being sold onto the exchange or moved onto the exchange to be sold. Solana has had a nice little climb here up to 202 off of the bottoms of right around 110. So this is kind of its range right now. It's been ranging like this, although it popped up briefly. So if you see this thing move up a little bit more, it's going to start challenging this up here at 289, which would be a pretty nice move. So let's see. Here. I can't see the cards for Solana on here. Maybe they don't have Solana. It says we're working on getting these widgets out soon for Solana. They should be available shortly. Okay, so currently this isn't available for Solana, but I know they've added Solana to the chain. They may just be doing some maintenance to it. But you can see down here who is accumulating over the last 24 hours, or see who's been accumulating over the last 7 days to see if there's any high conviction. You're probably going to see some really high numbers here, because there's a lot of people, a lot of whales that expect SOL to keep going. But I do believe, speaking of SOL, I do believe that there has been a shift from memes back to ETH tokens, especially, and Base will see a lot of that as well, and other tokens. But I've just seen a shift again. Back when things shifted from ETH and other chains over to Solana, and all the memes were going crazy. We found that when we shifted with it at the time in our Discord. So I'm telling people to shift back now, because there's more money in the ETH ecosystem, because most of those tokens are way down, right? And they're going to follow ETH eventually. Here is Fuel. It's got a large volume candle. This would be one that you'd probably want to watch, because even though it's not creating higher lows just yet, everything's been a lower high and a lower low each time. You'd really want to see it come back up here and establish a higher low if you want to play it safe. But we can also look and see, let's see over the last 7 days, what's going on with this one. Yeah, not a whole lot. In fact, Smart Money's been selling some. There's a lot of red down here. What about over the last 24 hours? Anything? A little bit. There's a top 100 wallet. Yeah, it's gone up a little bit on supply owned. The top 100 hold most of the supply on this one, according to Nansen. So there's a big whale somewhere in there that owns a lot of it. Here's Flock. I know a lot of you wish you had caught the FLOK pump, but here's exactly what we've been talking about on these, where you have a bottom, it starts creating higher lows, and that's your signal to think about accumulating. So higher low, higher low, higher low, all of a sudden it creates a huge higher high. This was a higher high from back here as well. And then it creates another higher low right there. It holds. And then, this was an accumulation zone. And then all the really big volume numbers start coming in. So this is a signal that this thing can keep moving. So the question is, does it come all the way back down to here, around 20 cents or so? I think it could. Maybe wait just a little bit longer, or start accumulating a small amount right now if you like this one. We'll see what the holders are showing here. This is a base token, by the way. Let's look at 7-day. Now, you got a whale here that's accumulating, looks like. Alongside the top 100 addresses, they're accumulating as well. Yeah, right here, what date was this? 29th of August. A small increase in supply owned anyway, but clearly they felt like this was near a bottom, so they started accumulating, and they bought 48K worth. So it's a really high conviction amount on FLOK. Let's see, SPX. Let me put it on daily chart here. I just want to see what this move was. When did this happen? January. So first it made a 100x move, and then it made another 6x move. I mean, there's a chance this one could still come down a little bit, down into the 7 cents range maybe. There's a lot of support down there. But you could even get some kind of fake out here where it does a head and shoulders look, and then maybe even sweeps just a little bit lower and then goes back up. I bet a lot of people are thinking this is the bottom for it just because it's at the neckline of a head and shoulders, but you're not really seeing much accumulation here yet. So it's been a lot of selling. I'd say give this one a little bit more time. Ion 5100. So this is a base token. It's not the one that I thought it was. I thought this was an ETH chain token. I think I'm probably just going to skip this one. I don't know. I mean, it is a support. You could see if anybody's accumulating here. My problem with this one is it's not. Let's see what smart money's doing. I mean, it's just a meme, basically, would be my guess. But there is accumulation there by smart money. If you played something like this, I'd just be careful with it because it could stay down there at support for a long time. All right, how long have we been talking here? 37 minutes. I need to try to get through this quicker. So we're going to look at the daily chart on WLFI, World Liberty Financial. I think, I can't remember who it was. Maybe Trump's group bought some of this or something. I don't really follow the news stuff on that. I don't really worry about all that. Wow, did this just now launch? I thought this was, I don't know why I thought this one had launched before, but anyway, if you were going to buy this one, it could be at support levels. Looks like a lot of people are going in heavy here. Just see what the last maybe 7 days show on it. Yeah, top 100 addresses are accumulating. Smart money is accumulating. Well, it's kind of flat on smart money, really. I don't know. I'd be careful with one like that. I don't know much about it, and it just launched. KTA had a really big move. This is the one that we got a 10x on, I believe. Yeah, it was about a 13x in our group. It could come down to 55 cents still, but I think that might be the bottom for it if it does. This is another base token. And last 7 days, not a whole lot going on. Smart money's accumulating a tiny amount, but clearly they think that this is near the bottom, whoever's buying here. What do we have? Uniswap. Okay, another high cap token. So you would expect that this one would move along with ETH, be one of the first movers, and it has, higher highs, higher lows. Could have a little bit of a dip here, but if this is one that you like, you might want to think about, accumulating soon. 7 day whales are accumulating a tiny amount, as is top 100. So not a whole lot going on with it yet. Maybe give it a little bit longer. Ondo is still down here at the bottoms. I kind of like the way this one looks, really. You got an inverted head and shoulders here working out. So Ondo could find some support here pretty soon. Wanted to see who was buying down there the last 24 hours, just waiting on it. Yeah, so somebody, a top 100 PENDLE wallet bought 377K worth, or they, well, let's look at this real quick, because sometimes it just means that they, transferred some tokens instead. Let's just make sure that they were actually buying and not just moving some tokens around. They have a high balance wallet, 12 million. You can click this deep research button here, and it will it'll work for you in the background to give you some information about this wallet. So that's a nice little feature that you can do. Looks like it was just a transfer out actually, or a transfer in. So yeah, this wasn't a true buy unless they were using a different wallet. Medium Dex Trader. I'm just looking at their other wallets here. Let's see if this actually shows that they bought some. Sometimes you have to do some digging, but it can help you. And they transferred in on that one. And what does this one show? Wow, a lot of stuff going on. Yeah, they did buy some. Okay, so looks like they have been accumulating here. They've just been doing it quietly, but they've also been selling. So, you know, it's hard to say what's going on with their, with what they believe this token's going to do. But I do like the level that it's at and this inverted head and shoulders. I think it's going to be fine. I mean, if you put it on a weekly chart, you're going to see that inverted head and shoulders much more clearly. There it is right there, shoulder, head, and, you know, maybe it comes down just a little bit more, and then shoulder. Do we have anything left here? Oh yeah, blocks. No, we talked about block, didn't we? Okay. Yeah, so block came way down. I think there is some accumulation going on right here, by the way. So let's see. What else did I want to show you? I don't have a whole lot of time left because we already hit 40 minutes. I know a few of you have said in the comments that in the previous videos that it's okay if I go longer, but I don't really want to, you know, take up too much of your time. I'd rather do these in small amounts. That way it's not too hard for you to digest. But I will show you one more thing. And this is kind of goes along with the line, goes in line with what we talked about last week, where one of my favorite things to do, you know, before Nansen did a lot of upgrades to make things very simple for people to find. One thing I like to do is I find tokens that are around 50K of volume or 50K net flows over the last, you know, 24 hours or something, or 7 days. Like right now we're looking at smart money, but there's not many smart money buying right now. So instead what we would do is we would switch that off, and now we're looking at retail. So we're looking at all caps. I think I'm looking at only DeFi, so let me take it off of that. That may have been why it didn't show smart money buying anything, hardly. Yeah, that's what it was. Okay, so if we're just looking at the smart money view and then I'll look at the retail view, there's a token named Nobody. There's one named Cards, Bert. What else? And there's your AI deep research is now ready, and you can view it. You know, remember I was talking about, it'll tell you about that wallet we were just looking at. So this is like an AI agent that'll help you determine if that's a wallet that you want to, track. So it's a neat little feature. Let's see, so we're looking at all the 5 chains. I'm going to look at Ethereum, Solana, Base, BNB, Arbitrum. I'm looking at all caps. If I just want to look at large caps, you know, if I'm somebody that just wants to look for those rotations, then if I'm not seeing much smart money here, I'm going to click it off and just look at retail. And I'm going to go down here to like the really low accumulations instead of the high ones, because I want to find ones that haven't moved yet. So you got things like Render, which we can look at. SHIB might be another one, because it does seem like we're getting a lot of these old tokens moving first, right? So I'm going to look at CRV as well. And let me go here to the next page. We just want to find things that haven't moved much. There's ICP. I think we looked at FET recently, so I'm not going to bring it up. And just starting to show up again, LDO. And then maybe we want to look at some mid caps, because, you know, mid caps have a really nice risk to reward ratio usually. PENDLE, I just saw that may be one you want to consider as well. TIBBIR, I know that's huge for a lot of people. They really want to catch that one. FLOKI. I'm just looking for anything around 50K. Of course, these were a little bit higher, and I'm just looking at 24-hour net flows. Oh, there's PENDLE right there. So it's on this list as well. CHEX maybe. Okay. So well, there's POPCAT as well. We'll look at that one as well. Did I bring that one up? All right. So let's. I'm just gonna have to speed through these because we're running out of time. But render, another inverted head and shoulders looking like if we sounds like an insult. You inverted head and shoulders looking. Well, yeah, I mean, actually, it's not completely inverted head and shoulders. I thought it was. You really got a double bottom there. So if you're going to create higher lows here, I would expect for it to find support pretty soon here. This high activity wallet obviously thinks the same thing. They have bought 100K worth, it looks like. They're still holding 96% of it. So if we look at last 7 days, yeah, a huge accumulation here. What did this go from? 94 to, yeah, almost a, well, actually it wasn't that much. Yeah, smart money and public figures haven't bought much either, which is surprising. I thought maybe they would at this level. So they must be waiting to see if it's going to dip just a little bit more. So maybe wait a few days and see what happens with it. Here, SHIB, same thing. I mean, look how these have the exact same pattern. It's just uncanny. You've got multiple wallets here buying over 100K worth. So those are probably top 100 addresses. Smart money is accumulating this one by a large amount, 80% increase right there. Starting on August 24th, they started accumulating. They went from, well, they really haven't accumulated that much, but here you got somebody that bought 1.6 billion tokens. I don't know. Oh yeah, the value right there, almost 20K. And they are a high net worth wallet, 270K wallet. So they made some pretty good money. Actually, look at their P&L right there. All the money they made in this wallet with a 50% win rate in 4 trades has been made over 90 days. So maybe I'll save this wallet and remember to post it in the comments below for you. I'll have to try to remember that. I'll put it way down here at the end. Okay, now we're going to look at Curve. Curve looks like it's putting in a kind of like a sickle pattern, which usually results in a pump, or you could call it a falling wedge or something like that. That works as well. Holders, last 7 days, what are they doing? Yeah, not a whole lot going on just yet on this one. They're probably expecting it to come down more. ICP, I must have the wrong ICP here, so I'm going to skip that. Here's another bull flag. Could even be coming out of this bull flag. Well, maybe not. I think it may come down some. Well, you know, it is hard to see actually what's going on because I think it gapped up right there. But this is TIBBIR. I know a lot of you are waiting on this thing to start pumping again. Just be aware that, you know, really what you want to do is put this trend line here, something like that. If it breaks above that trend line, then yeah, maybe it's ready to go. But if it keeps rejecting there, then it could come all the way down to 10 cents or, I don't know, 13 cents or so. You got somebody here that's sold 280K worth recently. So somebody is still seeing that it's weak. That even though it is going to pump hard at some point, I believe, you know, they think that they can get a better price on it. So if we go here and we look at the last 7 days, or we could even look at 24 hours and see if anybody's accumulating. Nobody really accumulating much right now. A little bit here on the top 100 addresses, but I think just wait a bit longer and you'll get a better price possibly. But if you want to start just buying a little bit at a time, then, you know, now might be the time to do that. But you need to be able to go on to Nansen here. And I do have a 10% Nansen discount in the description below, by the way. But, you know, if you use Nansen every day, you'll be able to see this stuff immediately. Here we have a big volume spike on FLOKI, and it's coming back down to test that. It actually went a little bit under it. Usually when this happens and it goes under this little shoulder right here, it doesn't have much longer to go down and it starts pumping again. Holders, last 7 days. Not a whole lot going on. There is a whale that's starting to get interested here. They bought about 5K worth, but it looks like they're buying and selling. So, you know, nothing really definitive yet on FLOKI, but it is near a support level, so not bad at all. PENDLE, let's look at the daily chart on it. Yeah, it's been having a really nice run here already. So, you know, it could keep moving up, but to me, how much of a move was this? well, it's not a huge move, I guess. So 200% or something, but you know, it could need a little bit longer. But the way you could tell if anybody's accumulating is just go over here to the holders tab, right? And really not a lot of accumulation yet. So what you would do in the future on this is if you saw a whale wallet that, you know, just purchased a large amount, then something like that's going to be on everybody else's radar, right? They're going to be like, oh, wow. So if you can get in around that time, as long as it's not a huge spike in one day, you know, if it did 100% or something, then maybe you'd want to wait for it to come back down. But if you saw smart money, public figures, or whales starting to accumulate more and more, then that might be the signal for you to start accumulating yourself, because you want to get in before everybody else. Yeah, CHEX. So here's CHEX. It's looking like it's nearing a support level here. It could sweep one more time below this level. It doesn't have to stop here. But what you want to be looking for that would help you determine whether you wanted to buy or not, of course, is the same thing we've been looking at on all of these. There's just a little bit of accumulation here, not a whole lot. It looks like a lot, but in reality, it's not a huge amount. But this wallet right here, they do own a ton, almost 750K worth. So, you know, not only could you watch this wallet on accumulation, you could also watch on, you know, whether things, you know, whether it's being sold by them as well, because they're a huge holder. POPCAT, I think this is the last one we're going to look at. It's back down here at support, and our holders on the last 24 hours, pretty flat, but there is some accumulation. Last 7 days, what does it look like? Yeah, just a little bit, not a whole lot. Anyway, I'm going to end it there. We're at 50 minutes right now. I didn't want to take too long. We'll do another one of these next week, maybe another one this week if I have time. But y'all let me know in the comment section below if there's anything else you want me to show. I appreciate y'all watching. Hit the like, hit subscribe, share it with your friends, and we'll keep doing them for you. All right, take care.